Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program 2, where we currently need to wait until our landing site here is on the day side. So let's warp forward a ways. We are going retrograde. That's exciting, but probably not the end of the world. It's certainly on the exciting side, but I believe, yeah, this is tidally locked, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Okay, so we're coming in here. I think we should give it probably one more orbit, but let's go ahead and control this for right now. We'll get this loaded in. Eventually everything will load. This is the wrong craft. Hang on. This is absolutely the wrong craft. This is the FlySafe 19. Yeah, this is not what we're looking for. We want to head over to Tylo. It would help if we were on the Lander 16. Okay, we'll control that one. Perfect. So we want to be flipping over to retrograde at this point. Retrograde. There we go. I don't know why I was trying to go to anti-target, but whatever. I think we're going to have to give this an orbit, and somewhere around here, we would do a maneuver plan to bring this down to be like this, and then maybe a bit down like that. Now, this is falling short, but it will rotate as we orbit. Let's bring it around to about here and see where we end up at. Okay, we're going to want to change our timing here to be a bit more like that. But that seems reasonably fine for now. I think we're overshooting this a little more than I want to, so let's put it about like this. I want to be a little higher up as we pass over. So this is going to be like a two-stage maneuver, and that should be fine. Let's warp to about here and make sure it doesn't change too much on the way, but it's only 5 minutes, so that shouldn't be too big of a deal. Yeah, this looks okay. I think we can make this be slightly earlier, about here or so. And that's a line for the burn, which is going to be in about 2 minutes. So this will be fine. And being retrograde isn't really that big of a deal. Tylo is tidally locked, so it doesn't have all that much rotational velocity anyway. So it shouldn't be that much more DV. But I should have noticed that on the way in. In fact, I had a suspicion, but I didn't voice it, and I didn't really care. So it's absolutely fine. Okay, let's warp on forward about now. Only about 2 minutes. Actually, it would have been faster to manually warp this, but whatever. And we can keep an eye on our liquid fuel here. We've got plenty for the time being. So we're going to get ourselves onto a landing approach here. About 20 seconds. Let's warp a little further. 10 seconds. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1... mark. Those are some long seconds. Okay, so we're going to warp this on down. Not warp. We're going to burn this on down. And we are now on a descent trajectory. So we're going to burn off about 600 meters per second of our mostly horizontal DV here. We are getting a little bit of inclination change, of course, but that's absolutely fine. We're not too concerned about that. Keeping an eye on our fuel amounts here, it's looking okay. I'm not too concerned about that at this moment. As long as we've got enough to lift off, that's what we need. And get ourselves reasonably close to orbit. So let's bring this on over. We've got about 8 seconds of burn time left. And then we're going to have to get ourselves a second maneuver to drop ourselves pretty much exactly where we want to be. So this is going to be about here. Okay, now I want a maneuver about here, and this is going to be another retrograde burn. That is actually a little overburnt there. So I want it here, but slightly earlier, about there or so. Okay, that looks reasonable. That is the majority of our orbital velocity. Let's align for that. That'll be in about 1:40. Noted. Well, hello there, Jewel. Oh, this is very sensitive. Okay, sure. Well, let's just align here. And we could extend our landing legs, but I don't think there's a reason to. This is our landing area here, and we are descending at this point. So descending is, of course, good. And we're just going to position here and warp forward approximately 1.5 minutes. We want to get this pretty close. So we need about another minute here. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Commencing the burn. Okay, so we're going to have like a couple hundred meters per second of orbital velocity. I want to switch this over to surface velocity at this point. So that should be absolutely fine. And we're watching that surface velocity come on down. Cool. In theory, I think we can lift with just this engine. I think we can take off with that if we had to. I would prefer not to, but I think we could do that. So we are doing a little bit of burning of our vertical speed here, which isn't necessarily the goal, but I like this position overall. We're just watching our horizontal speed go down by watching this node get pushed up towards the vertical position. So that looks fine. For the moment, I'm keeping an eye on our overall horizontal position. And we are slowing down our movement a fair amount, but I think this will be reasonable. In fact, it should be very, very close to ideal. So we've got about 20 seconds left of burn time here. And then we're going to start falling. And that, of course, is going to be something that we'll need to deal with. So about 15 seconds of burn time left. All is looking good here. 10 seconds of burn time left. We'll still have a little bit of horizontal DV at the end of this burn, but heavy on the little. It'll be almost entirely vertical. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, we'll call that good, and let's make our way over towards the retrograde marker at this time. So we're going almost entirely down, but we can see here it's not perfectly down, and I do want to have some amount of horizontal velocity at this time still. So this is looking relatively good. At this point, I want to go into our resource manager, and I want to find, well, all of these tanks here, because we want to move the fuel as low as possible on our way down here. So this we want to do out. This we want to do out. This one we want to do in. This one is out, out. This one should be in. So then this would be out, out, in, and out, out, in. And then this one should be also in, apparently. Okay. So let's move that fuel down. Fantastic. We just want the fuel to be as low as possible. So we're currently about 18 kilometers up, moving at about 600 meters per second. I'm going to commence a bit of a braking burn here. We are overshooting the monument a little bit, and that seems fine. So let's just bring this down, and I'm noting the speed at which our velocity is changing here. I want to bring us off over this way a little bit. I want to be mostly fighting our vertical speed, but I want to kill this horizontal speed just a bit. Okay. Something about like that. Let's bring it back up this way. And we're going almost exactly horizontally, but we're going ever so slightly back this way. Let's continue our transfer here. Oh, okay. Well, this is mildly awkward. Okay, this is very awkward. This doesn't like what we've got going on here. I guess we'll just get rid of it. Okay, we're going too slow right now. We need to cut our engine and let ourselves fall a bit. So, 5 kilometers to fall, And let's bring this up to... I'm thinking maybe like 150 or so. I'm extending our landing legs. We're at 110. 120. 130. 140. And let's commence a braking burn. We're only 4 kilometers up right now. Okay. So I don't think we need to do a full braking burn at this point. We're definitely going to be a little ways away from the monument, but I think we're going to be coming down like right up over here, which looks... I don't know if that's flat or not. It might be kind of flat. We might be better off trying to land over here. But at this point, I feel like we're maybe a little too late for that. So let's be slowly decelerating. We're about 2 kilometers up right now. And I don't want to do a full deceleration burn just yet. Okay, something a bit more like this. 60 meters per second. The question is, how flat is this terrain, right? Moving at about 50 meters per second, 1.1 kilometers above the ground. 1 kilometer above the ground. And let's commence a little bit faster of a deceleration. Moving at about 30 meters per second. Okay. 800 meters up. Okay, so it's about 33% thrust. Not too bad. I'm wondering if we can actually get up back onto the craft on Tylo. That might be a concern. That might actually be a concern. Well, we'll tackle that after we get this landing done. This looks relatively flat here, actually. Emphasis on relatively. So I think it's okay. I want to decelerate a little bit faster than this. I want to be down at around 10 meters per second. So this looks good. Okay. I want to find a kind of a middle ground here between these two positions. But I guess we'll just let ourselves accelerate a little bit for right now. Okay. Cut that throttle, or rather, cut that speed a little bit. 5 meters per second. We need to cut the throttle slightly. We were decelerating a little bit too quickly there. Whoa. What just happened? I think we were too heavy for our landing gear there. That was really weird. That was really, really weird the way that the landing gear reacted there. I think that we were too much mass. That should have been a picture-perfect landing. And I kind of want to try it again and see if that's a reproducible bug. I mean, at this point, we can't really take off the way that we did before. I mean, we can try. But the landing gear just, like, spazzed. An absolute spaz. I'm going to make a quick save here. And let's see if we've got an auto save. And see if we can reproduce that. So, let's see. The most recent save is, of course, this one. But we've also got this. And then this, which was like 7 minutes ago. Okay. I'm not entirely certain that I think that was a bug, to be honest. We impacted very, very slowly, and the physics just went absolutely crazy. I'm going to try rerunning the landing again off camera, and we'll see what ends up happening with it. It might have been too much mass for the landing legs to handle. but we were landing very, very slowly, and I think it should have been okay. Let's see what happens. I'll just get us back to a point where we're very close to the landing, and we can revert back to this if I feel like this is where we should be. See you guys in a moment. Okay, so here we are on our way back in here. Oh, this tumble is awkward. Okay, let's bring this back a bit. There we go. Let's just transfer this. Oh, right. We have to do it like this again. Sure, I'm not going to do this right now. So we need to get ourselves back up to this point here. We're coming down in largely the same position here. I want to start decelerating here for sure. And let's just try this one more time. If the same thing happens again, then we'll just chalk it up to KSP2 being weird and this being a flawed lander design. But if it doesn't, then we'll call it a bug. I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen here, but we're currently about ooh, this is a good point right here. We're currently about 1.1 kilometers above the ground. And that's looking reasonably good. So let's try this again. And hopefully it doesn't break this time. Fingers crossed. It shouldn't have the first time, I don't believe. So I want to throttle up a little bit. We're only about 700 meters up and moving at about 30 meters per second. I want to kind of bring this to a hover, like 1 meter above the ground, to be honest. Okay, I want a very gentle deceleration from here. We're about 500 meters up now. And let's just slowly bring this on down. I think we're decelerating a little too quickly, so I cut the throttle for a moment there and let us gain a little bit more speed. 18 meters per second, 400 meters above the ground. Where's our shadow at? Not visible yet? Okay, that's fine. So we've got about 15 meters per second to go here in terms of our overall speed. That's looking okay. About 200 meters per second above the ground, in theory. Okay, let's let this speed go up a little bit to about 15 meters per second, I think. There's our shadow coming in. Okay, let's start cutting that speed back down. Okay. 3.9 meters per second. It's still cutting. This looks decent. Very controlled landing. That's what we're angling for here. I see we have a little bit of horizontal speed. Okay. 3 meters per second. This is 2.5 meters per second. 2.2. 2.1. This should absolutely be a safe velocity to land. I do see that we have a little bit of horizontal speed still. Okay. Just doing something like this. Okay, yeah. So that's wacky. No doubt about it. That is wacky. I'm going to try taking off here really quickly. Flipping us over like so. And we're going to try heading out over this direction. Bring us to up, please. Please bring us to up. Please bring us to up. Okay, that wasn't good. That was very not good. So at this point, what we need, of course, is we need a retrograde marker, and a reasonable one at that. Okay, so we know that there was a bug, 100%. That's just the way the game works, evidently. We're trying to chase this node a little bit. Okay. And I'm wondering if we might be better off trying to land... Bring this to up, please. It's not going to happen. So we know that there's a bug. This is obviously going to crash. But we know that there's a bug with the way that the landing works. So I'm wondering if we're better off landing without actually... Yeah, this is 100% due to the bug. I was trying to prevent us from tipping over, but we didn't quite have the turn speed for that. So here's what I want to do. I want to try that landing one more time. And again, I'm not going to make you sit through the entire process of this, but I want to try it without actually landing on the landing gear. I feel like the landing gear are bugged here. I think that's our problem. The landing gear are just giving us a huge amount of thrust, pushback, and we have to open the map and close it to get this correct here. But I feel like that's what we've got going on. And actually, maybe I will make you sit through this whole process again. I'm just not going to extend the landing legs here. And I did determine that a landing burn at about 15 kilometers appears to be a little bit on the early side, a little bit safe, but it should be reasonable. So that's fine. And let's just finish up this burn here. The way that I want to do that, this maneuver is a little broken, but the way I want to do that is I just want to burn in this position. Oh, we've actually overburnt it. Okay. So we have overburnt this, and I want to flip us over to the other side. This thing is kind of slow to turn. But yeah, we're definitely having some bug issues. We've successfully landed it twice, as far as I'm concerned, but we're running into, like, ridiculous amounts of physics pushback from our landing legs. So we need to burn out this direction a little bit and just get ourselves into this position, right? So I'm going to do this. I'm also noticing our current altitude. And let's bring ourselves back over to retrograde from here. Okay, we need to be doing our landing burn. Let's get to retrograde and commence that burn. This is maybe a little bit late on the burn, and hopefully that's fine. Let's just see how this one goes. We don't want to extend our landing legs. They are apparently fundamentally broken. I think we're going a little too fast here. But it might be okay. Let's just see how it goes. Let's play this out. 300 meters per second, 5 kilometers up is definitely up there. But we are slowing down quite a lot. I think we're okay here. 200 meters per second, 4 kilometers up. Seems okay. We're going to be a little further from the monument this time due to those shenanigans. But we can continue to burn here. Actually, this is maybe not the ideal location to burn it. I don't want to be going this direction right now, thanks. I want to be going up here. About like this. Okay, now let's bring it back to retrograde. Any moment we can bring it back to retrograde would be nice. This thing turns so slowly. We gotta burn. Okay. So back to retrograde we come. And this is a much better landing direction here. And let's just start our descent slowly. I just want to test it this time without the landing legs. It's going to be a much closer landing. So that seems fine. Let's see what happens without the landing legs. Is the problem the struts? I don't think so. I think the problem is the landing legs. So let's just bring this right on down. Overburning a little bit there, so I'm dropping the throttle. Can we just click and drag this? Yes, we can. Okay, so I want to adjust this a little bit more finely here. About here or so, where we're just very gently coming down. Looks like we're going to be coming down just outside this rock perimeter, which I think is okay. So yeah, I'm 99% sure that the problem here is the landing legs, and this is going to land on the engines, which is probably going to be a safer landing for us, given the bugginess with the landing legs. It might just be due to the sheer amount of mass that this has, although it's not that much mass, to be honest. We burnt out a lot of the mass, and we did not actually change our hydrogen around. We should probably do that on the way in here. Okay, so this should be out, out, in, and then this should be out, out. Hang on, something's wrong here. Okay, out, out, in, out, out, in, out, out, in, out, out, in. There we go. Okay, I'm cutting our throttle a little bit here. Okay, all of the fuel is now in the bottom tanks. We're decelerating. 10 meters per second. 5. Let's just very gently set this down, this time on the engines. 4 meters per second. 3. Well, let's slow it down a little bit more than that. It's a little too much. Okay, that's also a little bit too much. I'm struggling to find the correct position here. It's not accepting my inputs every time I press the buttons, so that looks good. Okay, just leave it here. Do not extend the landing legs. That was absolutely the problem. There's massive physics issues with this. Apparently the game is very confused by this. I'm going to call that a bug. And this seems good. We've got a fair amount of DV left to take off with. The real question now that I have is if Jeb EVAs, he's EVA'd over here. The question is, can he fly on Tylo? Right? We're going to drop him here, and we're going to run a quick check. Okay, so let's do this. That's inauspicious. That is very inauspicious. Okay. So Jeb can't fly. Is Jeb a permanent president of Is Jeb a permanent resident of Tylo at this point? Well, we could leave Jeb here and send a specific Jeb rescue mission. However, we are at the monument. So we don't need him to get down further than this. I wonder if we can get him back to here. Left valid region. Just stay put. Don't move anything. Left valid region. I think it's because our rocket is moving a little bit. But I think we can get the surface survey here. What is our actual mission, though? Hang on. Let's head back to mission control. Actually, I'm going to quick save first in case we have any other physics issues. Quick save. Back to mission control. And once here, I want to check. We've actually already completed it. Okay. So back to the tracking station. And we can grab Jeb. So that seems good. So let's see here. Jebediah Kerman. We'll control Jeb. And Jeb is located right here. I still want to get that surface survey if we can. That might have reset the physics. Yeah, he has a little bit of a jump there every so often. You note that when that happens, the ship shifts. Got it. Okay, so that looks good. Now we have to try to get Jeb back to here. Well, that's going to be very, very, very interesting. I'm going to quick save this because there's a very high chance of failure, and we're going to need to jump for it. Okay. Yeah, we did not succeed. So Jeb is falling here. We have no way to get back up. So I'm actually just going to revert that, and we're just going to keep trying this until we manage to get Jeb in. So we want to load up this quick save. Is this jump even possible? Is a question that should be asked at this point. I'm not entirely convinced that it is possible. I wonder what happens if we leave Jeb here and take off, and then reboard him back in orbit. Well, I want to test to see if this is a possible jump. It is. Okay. That's interesting. So, that's fascinating. Well, we succeeded. I guess we'll call it good. So we should do any science experiments that we have here. Looks like we don't have any additional science experiments. And I guess we leave. Okay. So that was interesting. No doubt about that. It feels kind of save scummy that we reverted that first Jeb jump, but the second time we got a lot more air. I'm not sure what the difference was. The first time we covered about half the vertical distance. It felt like when we were running the EVA that the EVA was preventing our jump from running the EVA RCS, that was preventing the jump from achieving its full velocity. That's what it felt like. I didn't do that the second time, and it felt significantly different. So that might just be something weird with the way that the EVA works. Regardless, we managed to achieve this after some really strange reversions that I'm not particularly happy with, but regardless, let's get out of here. I want to get us back into orbit and off of this somewhat cursed planet. Let's put it into up, and let's get out of here. So I just want to get an apoapsis of a reasonable amount. And we're going to burn off this remaining fuel, but we've got lots and lots of fuel. I'm not concerned about fuel right now. So we can see time to apoapsis is currently about 25 seconds. We're going to go up on the 90-degree axis here. Once we reach about a minute to apoapsis, I'm going to go horizontal. 37, 38, 39, 40. 47, 48, 49, 50. Okay, I'm going horizontal at this point. Cool. So we're just going to get a bunch of horizontal speed, and we're going to be pushing our apoapsis. So this is trying to take us back to up. Please don't do that. Just park here at the horizon. This is going to be pushing our vertical speed up a fair amount, and we're going to burn off, I expect, the majority, if not all, of these tanks, and we'll return back on our singular center tank, is the idea. Okay, so we need to achieve about 1,500 more meters per second here in order to achieve orbit. I'm noting our apoapsis time is holding. Okay, it is going down, but slowly. That's a good sign. I don't know what was going on with those landing legs. Landing on the engines worked far better. It seems like landing legs in KSP2 are kind of a waste of weight. That's what I'm thinking, anyway. So it looks like we've got enough in our engines here to achieve orbit, so that seems great. I'm not super happy with those reversions. I don't like doing that, but I felt like it was necessary in this case because Jeb could make that jump. I think that was just an EVA issue. And we got everything we needed. We definitely had a bug on the landing legs, 100%. The Jeb jump was, I think, the most questionable thing I did in this episode, but I don't know. I just wanted to try it again, and then it just worked, and I feel like it should have worked the first time. So, there's that. So we're nearly at orbital velocity, and we're just going to position it about here. Cool. I'm watching that apoapsis time go up at this point, and we're just going to raise that up to probably about 100 kilometers. We are getting close to burning out our tanks here, so that's fine. We are nearly at our orbital velocity. And we do have enough in these tanks to achieve orbit. So that's looking good. Yeah, we're basically at orbital velocity right now. Apoapsis of 100. Engine shutdown. So now we're going to come out to the apoapsis, and we are going to simply get that last little bit to actually enter orbit. And then we'll return on home in the next episode. This one's gone on a little bit longer than intended because of the issues that we had. Yeah, I think that this is all just dead weight here, and we should just simply remove this. It's a waste of weight, and it's definitely not going to be ideal. So let's get ourselves moved around. It'll be 7.5 minutes until our enter orbit burn. That seems fine. But yeah, these were just pushing us back with tremendous amounts of force, enough to completely unbalance the entire rocket and then breaking themselves. Now, it might be that the stress of all of the mass was just a little too much for the legs. But if so, they shouldn't have reacted that way. They should have simply broken without pushing us back quite that heavily. And then we should have just ended up landing on the engines with the legs breaking. That's what should have happened the first go-round. So, we need 101 meters per second to re-enter orbit here. As far as the Jeb first jump goes, I really don't know what to make of that. He got a lot more height the second jump. It seems to me like if you jump and then immediately try to use the EVA pack to boost your jump velocity or carry it as far as possible, it seems that like it actually erases the jump velocity, which also seems like a bug, but whatever. We're going to warp forward a little bit here. We've got 20 seconds, 10, and 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. We've got slightly differing amounts of fuel in these tanks. Okay, we should probably do something about that before we go. I'm probably going to forget that. So I want to hop into here. I want to grab all of these tanks here. So there should be 4 of them. And I want to equalize them. Like so. There we go. So now there's the same amount of fuel in all of them. That's just the way it was intended to be from the get-go. So that'll be fine. We've got 833 meters per second left here, and then, in theory, an additional, like, 11,000 here, which should be more than enough to get us home. So that looks good. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Atala, Andy McGar, Ali Lee, Dark Horse, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Tommy Kentogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.